Question B2, the mean of three numbers is 1/3. One of the numbers is 1. What could the other two numbers be? Now, what we know so far about the mean is that it's the sum of all the values, in other words, the total, divided by the number of values. Now, you might think, well, why has he got one of these formula triangles? Well, this can actually help us in this case because we sort of need to work in reverse. So if I put this formula that we already know into the triangle, I could write mean in the bottom, I could write total in the top, and I could write divided by how many values there are in the bottom right. So mean equals total divided by how many. And now we start filling in the things that we know. Well, it tells us that the mean is 1/3. So the mean is 1/3, but also it says of three numbers. So that first sentence alone allows us to fill in two bits of information within the triangle. We know that the mean is a third, and then we've got three numbers, question mark, question mark, question mark. There could all be different numbers. Some of them might be the same numbers. We just don't know yet. So there are three numbers. So I was writing 3 there. Now, anytime you've got one of these triangles, the thing that you don't know, you can cover up. So I don't know the total. So if I cover up the total, then what I see left is what I've got to do to get it. So if it's the two bottom things that are left, you basically multiply them together. So the total is the mean times by how many numbers there are. Well, that's a third times by 3. A third times by 3 equals a whole one. So that means the total of all three numbers, this number plus the other two numbers, has got to equal 1 whole. Now, we already get told that one of the numbers is 1. So if you imagine 1 with 2 empty boxes, what could the other numbers be so that the total is still a whole one? Well, there's actually infinite numbers for this. You might think there's only one possible answer, but there actually isn't. So the obvious answer is zeros. 1, 0, 0. They would all add up to, there's three numbers, it all adds up to 1, and then 1 divided by three numbers is a third, which would mean the mean would be a third. That's what it says in the question. But there are actually loads of other answers to this. For example, if you pick a number, let's say 7, all you've got to do to make the total still a whole one is basically minus 7, because 7 minus 7 cancels each other out to be 0, and then add the 1 is a whole one. So those three numbers could also work. You could even have, let's do a couple more examples and I think we'll get the picture. You could even have 1 minus 12 and positive 12, because they all add up to a whole one, and 1 divided by 3 is still a third. You could have 1 and 40 and then have minus 40 here. That still adds up to a whole one. So there's a few examples of three numbers with a mean of a third where one of the numbers is 1.